From the Fidelity Bank Foundation studio, PBS Kansas presents One-on-One with Victor Hogstrom.
Where Kansas connects heart, history, and the spark of what's next. This is where the forward thinkers and community builders share their passion, their drive, and the wisdom forged along the way. Our guest tonight is a driving force in the cultural heartbeat of Central Kansas. A lifelong resident of Salina with roots stretching back to the city's earliest days. He's a man whose career path has been as diverse and vibrant as the arts he champions, from retail and restaurants to a full-time artist and college professor. For 15 years, he's been at the helm of Salina's arts and humanities, igniting creativity, overseeing the nationally accredited Smoky Hill Museum, and orchestrating one of Kansas' most beloved events, the Smoky Hill River Festival. He lives in history, works to build the future, and believes passionately in the power of arts and humanities to transform lives. He is the Executive Director of Salina Arts and Humanities, Mr. Lawrence Brad Anderson. Tonight, we dive into his journey, the explosive growth in Salina's cultural and economic landscape, and the vision that keeps making art unavoidable, as he calls it. Get ready for an energizing half hour as I go one-on-one with Brad Anderson right now. Hello and welcome to One-on-One. I'm Victor Hogstrom, and I'm thrilled to be joined by a man who is not just part of Salina's history, but actively shaping its cultural future. He's an artist, an educator, and leader, making a tangible difference. Please welcome Brad Anderson.
Hello, Victor.
How are you?
I'm thrilled to be here.
Thanks for coming down from Salina.
That was a great drive.
One of our great viewing communities.
It certainly is.
You are originally from Salina, going way back.
Yeah, hundreds of years.
Yes. You practically own the city, or your family. But tell us the story.
Well, I did grow up in Salina. Some of my ancestors were the first generation of settlers from Scotland when the city was founded. I've felt a deep connection and a tie to that place all through my growing up years. My father worked in retail. My grandfather on the maternal side was a FBI agent that was stationed in Salina, and then became the superintendent of the Kansas Highway Patrol. And so a lot of folks who had larger than life images in my growing up were all associated with that place.
So how did you get so involved with the arts and making such a huge difference for the city of Salina?
You know, it was kind of a gradual thing. I really came on strong in high school in the arts. I messed around with it a little bit as a kid. Like every fifth grader, I tried to draw things that looked real, and I loved creative practices. But in high school, I really had a moment that happened where I had kind of a breakthrough in some painting and a modern style, and it just helped invigorate a desire for me to pursue that as a career. And so, but there were many little things along the way, you know, walking out on Santa Fe when I was working retail as a 16-year-old, and seeing the nation's bicentennial celebration on our public streets for an art show and a music festival that eventually became the Smoky Hill River Festival a year later. Those early experiences all kind of helped shape and direct me to pursue a creative practice.
Are you the only or the first arts executive of the city?
No, I have the benefit of standing on the shoulders of some giants. Salina had kind of a unique history in the arts, even from its earliest decades of existence. In the late 1800s, there were 3 municipal bands. In the 1920s, there was a very active librarian who worked hard with some of his supporters, and the guild that helped support the library bought a Sanzane painting, actually 2 paintings for the community. And then that person and another city leader helped form an arts guild in the 1930s. And from then on, it just continued to grow. Symphony was founded in the 1950s. The community theater came in the 50s. The Marymount College that was closed in 1989, but my alma mater, the Sisters of St. Joseph did amazing things to integrate the arts into our community. So it's really been a broad community effort and not just a single individual.
So Brad, when we talk the arts, what exactly do we mean, and why are they so important to a local community?
That's a great question, and I'm going to get on my soapbox here for
Please
a minute.
Please do.
The arts are critical for a number of reasons. Number one, just like sports, just like other efforts of economic development, a quality of place, a quality of life, a sense of civic pride and ownership of a space is dependent often and revealed by what the town looks like, what it feels like, how it plays together, how it celebrates together. And the arts are often that vehicle, whether it's through music or telling good stories at a history museum, or through the performing arts in theater, or sculptures on the streets, or painting of sidewalks, or of a large mill downtown. Being able to integrate the arts throughout your community and give people ways to see and feel their own histories, their own journey through the creative work of others is incredibly important.
What, in your opinion, makes for successful art?
I think successful art is going to happen when everyone isn't satisfied or happy. If you made something that was so safe or so pretty that everyone loved it, there'd be a whole nother group that would say, well, no, that's too safe, or that's too pretty. How about something a little edgier? So I think successful art happens in a community when you go through the community and ask its citizens, do you see a place, or have you experienced art in your life that is a way that reflects your values, your culture, and your interests? And if they say yes, then we're doing our job.
So in order to bring others to Salina, tell us about some of the pretty, safe, and edgy arts.
There's one of the best things about my job right now as Director of Arts and Humanities is that I don't have to direct it all. We have a group through the Chamber of Commerce and some private citizens that 15 years ago started something called Sculpture Tour Salina. They raise funds on their own. The city buys the people's favorite piece at the end of each year for our permanent collection, but I don't manage that program. Our public art administrator doesn't manage that program. We just help when called upon, and those private citizens are filling this year, they just unveiled in May, 24 new sculptures up and down Santa Fe that will be there for a year, and next May there'll be 20 to 25 more. And having that happen through the private sector is a real sign of a healthy community when others are helping us fulfill our mission. We have the same thing through another group that privately funds the Boom Street Art and Mural Festival every fall, and since 2023 or 2, we have 35 new murals around town from national and international artists that we didn't have just a few years ago. And so when the private sector is stepping up, it helps strengthen all of us.
So true, so
Yeah.
true. So what is the Smoky Hill River Festival? This is something you have annually.
We do.
And how does it set itself apart from the so many other annual events in other communities, arts events?
Well, in June of this year, we celebrated our 49th anniversary. So we've been planning for the last year for June of 2026 will be the festival's 50th year. That event is really quite remarkable at reflecting what a healthy community can do and an engaged community. We have 7 staff at Arts and Humanities. We have another 6 with the museum, and then some part-time labor as well. But our 7 staff work with 22 committees in town. Those 22 committees help leverage the help of 2,000 volunteers every summer. And that puts on a 4-day event in the center of the city in Oakdale Park that has 3 stages of entertainment, 35 food booths, 125 exhibiting artists, $30,000 worth of annual art installations by about 20 different artists that are throughout the park. And then we have craft demonstrators and a huge free area for kids and families to make and take arts and crafts that are often unique in how they're made. And it's affordable, it's safe, and it's the city's most cherished and premier event.
Brad, you talked about public-private partnerships. Talk about the importance of that in creating art.
Well, while I brag about being a city that in a city that supports the arts through city government, our staff is also responsible annually for raising more than $500,000 in private funds, both cash and in-kind contributions. So that might be a hotel room or a meal. It might be a professional service, like we have a local electrician that provides their staff to make sure all of our electricity through the park is set up and working. The value of that contribution is tremendous. And then private donations account for 1/3 of the operational costs of the event. So we work on with cash and in-kind contributions, it's about a $750,000 a year annual budget, and 1/3 of, well, if you count in-kind, about 50% of the total budget is paid for by private sector and in-kind. The rest is earned revenue from us, and we try to break even or make a little bit of money for the city by the end of the year.
Talking about making money, tell us about the role that arts and culture play in Salina's development boom.
And not just Salina, but nationally, people don't realize the power, the economic power of the arts. The arts, if you take graphic design and architecture and education and music and performance, for-profit and nonprofit, it represents about 4% of the nation's GDP. Well, that's comparable to transportation. Just the arts alone in the nonprofit sector are about the same as if you added up the total economic impact of every accountant in America. So that's 2% in accounting and finance. So it's a substantial amount of economic benefit for a community, but what it also does is it helps distinguish that community when we're all working hard to build our workforce, to make our cities attractive. And our newest generation of workers are making their decision of where to move first, not on how much they're getting paid, but what's the quality of life of where they're going.
So important.
It's so important.
Yes.
So
yes.
we wear both hats when.
So let's tap into that quick thinking creativity of yours with a little game that we play here on the show.
Okay,
You've seen some of them, I'm sure.
I have.
I'll start a sentence and you finish it.
Okay.
Okay. If Salina's sculptures could talk at night, they'll definitely gossip about
how amazing our community works together for the common good.
the secret ingredient that truly makes Kansas creativity pop is?
I think an unselfishness.
My historic house probably whispers, I wish he wouldn't.
Probably wishes I wouldn't keep planting a bigger garden. Just let things ride for a little bit. But
Running the river festival feels like juggling juggling blank while riding a blank.
Oh, juggling the river festival is like juggling a bowling pin and a cat and a flaming torch. And the second half was
while riding a blank.
Oh, while riding a unicycle.
Oh, now that's interesting. Interesting visual.
It is. We haven't had anybody do that on a stage, but maybe it'll come for our 50th year.
The next one is the most unexpected place I have ever found artistic inspiration was?
The hardware store.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would sometimes wander as a young budding artist, and I'd hit a wall. I'd go to the hardware store and I'd open drawers of doorknobs and weird hardware and springs and strange nuts and bolts and cotter pins and things I didn't know existed, and filling my head with all of those new textures, new shapes, new surfaces often would give rise to a new idea.
Ideas.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so my last phrase is, if I had a secret identity away from the arts world, I'll be
A hermit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I would go out on some isolated island with 18 beautiful holes of golf and not talk to anybody and just be in a solitary moment with a few golf clubs and lots of balls, because I don't all hit them straight, and that would be my solitude moment.
Right.
So.
Well, it's brilliant. I love the answers. Yeah, thank you so much for playing.
I love that game.
You are an artist yourself.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
I started as a two-dimensional artist, doing painting and drawing and other things. After my first year of high school, my teacher, I went back the second year because I liked it, even though the only way I ended up in art was because I fell off the back of the blocks in my first swimming match. I wasn't mean enough for football. I was not a basketball player and ran out of things to do. So I picked art, and the teacher, after my first year, when I showed up again, he went home and told his wife, "You remember that kid I told you about last year? He came back." He was not excited to have me back, but something kicked off that year, and I felt like I'd made some progress, and he became very supportive, and I knew when I was in high school that I thought at the time I wanted to teach college. I didn't want to have to deal with kids that were that were like me. So I thought I'd only have the serious ones. I found out that the most serious kids are second graders, because they're still amazed at life, but they still don't know cursive and multiplication. So they've got the heart of a kid, but the high enough functioning to make some cool stuff. So anyway, I pursued art education in college for a while.
At Marymount.
At Marymount, and then I had lots of different jobs throughout the years. I was the auto parts guy, a video store manager, unexpected kinds of journeys. But I went back to teach at Marymount, and the year that they closed, I was able to teach without a master's degree part-time. And the year that they closed was the year I was accepted into graduate school at Kansas State for ceramics. So I changed from 2D art to ceramics, and then spent 4 years getting a Master of Fine Arts degree from K-State, and then the next 4 years after I graduated being a full-time artist. So.
But you attempted to save your alma mater, Marymount.
I did.
But that didn't work. What happened?
It was a life-changing experience. It did things for me and helped me grow as an individual in ways I'd never imagined. They announced the college was going to close. I was devastated. The kids around me were really hurt. The colleagues who had been my teachers and that were now my colleagues, I had a huge sense of loss of what was going to happen to them. And so the inspiration of a handful of students, they said, we need to do something. We need to try to change this. And long story short, in about 7 or 8 weeks, we raised $3.5 million in cash and pledges.
Wow.
We enlisted alumni and students and faculty and other community members who came along beside us and went down swinging. It wasn't successful, but to be able to step up and do something that was beyond what...
What caused the failure? What happened?
There was kind of a long history of problems. The first one was that the Sisters of St. Joseph, who founded the college, operated that college as a living endowment. They were the president of the college, they were the fundraisers, they were the alumni directors, and many of the faculty. The college went co-ed in the late 60s or early 70s, and as a way to try to increase their revenue and to be more attractive to a wider range of students. And I think that the financial burden that put on the church was resented by some of the priests and the senior leadership of the Catholic Church, and it was costing them a lot of money to help supplement what happened, because if PBS Kansas does fundraising every year, and I'm guessing you have an endowment that helps support something.
We're working on one.
Okay.
Trying to work on one, yes.
Well, the sisters didn't have one. And many colleges, we hear about Harvard's $350 billion or whatever. Well, they can say what they want and do what they want because they've got a pretty good cushion.
Right.
Marymount didn't have that. And so in just a decade, the number of sisters who retired, the people from the public that weren't involved with the church that were hired, all those expenses went up, and it was hard to reach. And the bishop at the time it closed, when we were trying to save it, I had conversations with T. Boone Pickens when he was visiting the Salina Chamber of Commerce for their banquet. I talked to a producer of 60 Minutes to see if they would come out, and he gave me a very clear indication. He said, we've been following your story. We know what you're trying to do, but I have to tell you, you may not be aware of this, one Catholic college a month is closing in this country right now.
Really?
And I said, so we're not news? He goes, you're not. And I said, what if we saved it? And he said, we'd have a team on a plane tomorrow, you know, but that wasn't happening,
Right,
you know.
right.
And so, so we all moved on, and I learned some really valuable lessons about giving it your best, even if it doesn't turn out.
So what are your goals yet to be achieved, Brad?
I hope to leave Salina Arts and Humanities in a place that they can thrive without my leadership. I would like to equip our staff and our community to take an active role in the cultural health of our community that doesn't rely on one person. And so I've worked really hard to help encourage and nurture that in others and in my staff, and help them to be future leaders as we move our community forward.
What are would you say are the best business decisions that you've made for Salina?
The one I'm most proud of, and that I've been very intentional on, is starting an endowment for
the
arts and humanities, for the River Festival in particular.
Right.
I have a vision that someday, it won't be in my tenure, but there will be a director that comes to work in the future, maybe a decade or two down the road, and on January 1st, they're going to tell the staff, well, our endowment has generated enough. We have $10 million in our endowment. The $500,000 we need to operate the festival in cash this year is secured. So let's not worry about raising more funds. Let's put on the best party we can.
And they'll be singing your praise.
I hope they just sing the praises of the festival and the community. But I've been an endowment geek, and we'll talk to anybody who wants to know about how important that is, because we spend so much time, as you well know, we spend so much time every year in fundraisers, bake sales, asking for money. Mm-hmm. And
it's a tough job.
If 50 years ago, somebody had said, we're going to take 10% of every dollar we raise and put it in an endowment, many of the nonprofit organizations that are around today would be not reliant on an annual drive anymore. And so there's a guy from Salina who started alternative agriculture, Wes Jackson at the Land Institute. He made a comment one time. He said, if you're only trying to make change that you can see in your lifetime, you're not thinking big enough. And that really struck home. Mm-hmm. And so I may never see the full benefits of what this is in my lifetime, but somewhere down the road, we'll continue to thrive as a community.
Brad Anderson, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. If you have a question or comment, well, you know the drill. Email us at oneonone@kpts.org. Until next time, I'm Victor Hogstrom. Stay creative, stay engaged, and continue to support the arts. We'll see you again soon.